As she rubbed her smelly feet on his face, she taunted him with a sickly sweet tone, asking if he liked it. He couldn't stand the smell and struggled, but his limbs were tied to the bed. Left with no choice, he begged her to stop. Ignoring his pleas, she slapped him with her large nose. He is an exceptional architectural designer. On Father's Day, his wife and kids were on a trip, but he stayed home working overtime. Late at night, stressed, he decided to have a cigarette. Suddenly, there was an urgent knock on the door. Puzzled, he opened it to find two beautiful drenched girls seeking shelter from the rain. Reluctantly, he let them in and gave them towels. Learning their destination was far, he called a car for them. The remote location and heavy rain meant a 45-minute wait. The girls suggested drying their clothes, and he couldn't refuse. He made them tea while waiting. After taking their wet clothes to dry, the girls began acting wildly, dancing in the living room and playing with the man's dog. They even touched his belongings without permission. Though the man was upset, he didn't say much. Sensing his discomfort, the girls sat on the sofa and awkwardly started a conversation. Learning his wife and kids were away, they excitedly hugged him and insisted on keeping him company. Their enthusiasm made him uncomfortable, so he sat opposite them. The women then engaged him in increasingly intimate conversations, pushing the man to his limit. As the blonde girl leaned in, a rideshare car arrived. The girls went to the bathroom, and the man brought them their dry clothes. Surprisingly, they stayed inside and didn't come out. After waiting a long time, the driver left. Blindfolded, the man walked into the bathroom and found the girls showering. They invited him to join, and unable to resist, he did. The next day, he woke up thinking they had left, but found the kitchen a mess with the girls eating breakfast. Helpless, he had to force them to leave, urging them to dress. He waited outside for a long time, but they didn't come out. He eventually called the police. Terrified, the girls asked him to drive them home. Relieved, he dropped them off and returned home. Thinking he was free after cleaning up, he soon heard a noise. Cautiously entering the living room, he saw the photo on the floor. As he bent to pick it up, the black-haired girl suddenly appeared behind him. Upon waking, he discovered he was tied to a bed. Despite his struggles, he couldn't break free. Suddenly, a blonde girl entered, wearing his daughter's clothes. The man begged them to release her, but they not only refused, they even recorded a video of her. When the black-haired girl left briefly, he broke free and slapped the blonde girl to the ground. In the living room, he pinned the black-haired girl against the wall, only to be stabbed with a fork. He passed out from the pain and woke up tied to a chair. They put headphones on him and turned the volume up, causing unbearable pain. Suddenly the doorbell rang. It was his colleague. The black-haired girl lied, saying she was his niece. But the colleague saw red paint on the floor. The artwork was in shambles, sending Black Sis into a frenzy. Already struggling with asthma, she nearly broke down and considered calling the police. Panic struck both women. Suddenly, a noise came from inside. As Black Sis moved towards the sound, the black-haired girl snatched her asthma medication. Black Sis opened the door to find the man tied up. The women exploited her weakness, destroying the art. Disregarding the man's pleas, she tried to stop them, but they continued. Furious, Black Sis had an asthma attack but couldn't find her medication. Oblivious, the women tossed it around. Then, an accident occurred. Witnessing Black Sis's collapse, the two women burst into hysterical laughter, showing no empathy. They covered her body with newspapers, transforming her into an art piece, and later engaged in twisted games with the man. Once their amusement waned, they wreaked havoc in his home, dug a pit outside, and as dawn broke, dragged him into it, planning to bury him alive. With only his head above ground, they removed his gag upon seeing he wanted to speak. He pleaded desperately, offering to do anything. They gave him a phone, asking him to recount the night's events to his wife. Instead, he urged her to call the police. Losing patience, they smashed a rock near him. It turned out they weren't planning to kill him, but were testing his loyalty, promising to find a new target. As they prepared to leave, they remembered to upload the recorded video to social media. It quickly garnered numerous likes and comments. As the view count soared, the man struggled to delete it, but his hand trembled, and accidentally gave it a like.